Hello and welcome to the MCQ lecture series. In today's class, we are going to look at some of the important multiple choice questions with respect to Indian economic environment, which is the economics general paper for FYBA. So let's get started. The first question is, Dash is the central bank of India, which plays an important role in monetary and banking structure of India. Dash is the central bank of India, which plays an important role in both monetary as well as the banking structure of India, whether it is A, the State Bank of India or SBI, whether it is B, Bank of Baroda, whether it is C, Reserve Bank of India or RBI, or none of the above. So here the central bank or the apex bank of the country, specifically in India, is the Reserve Bank of India, which acts as or which plays an important role, which acts as a central bank and which plays an important role both in the monetary as well as the banking structure in India, and therefore option C, Reserve Bank of India or RBI, is the correct answer to this particular question. I hope the question is clear. Let us now move to the next one. Obviously, when this bank was established, that means when the Reserve Bank of India was established, and the options which are available to us are 1st Jan 1935, 1st April 1935, 1st July 1935, or none of the above. So the correct answer here, it's a factual question. The Reserve Bank of India was established on 1st of April 1935, and therefore option B, 1st of April 1935, is the correct answer to this particular question. Now, a very important question is, the Reserve Bank of India was initially established as what? It was initially established as what? That is the next question. So the Reserve Bank of India was initially established as a dash bank, whether it was initially established as a royal bank, whether it was initially established as a development bank, whether it was initially established as a cooperative bank or a shareholders bank. So this is very important question. The Reserve Bank of India was initially established as a shareholders bank, and therefore option D, shareholders bank, is the correct answer to this particular question. I hope both these questions are clear. Let us now move to the next one, which talks about the functions of Reserve Bank of India, and the question is, the RBI undertakes dash functions. Which of the following things are undertaken by the Reserve Bank of India? Whether it is A, the Reserve Bank of India acts as a banker to the government, whether it is B, Reserve Bank of India acts as a banker to the banks, whether it is C, the Reserve Bank of India issues and regulates the circulation of currency in India, and option D, all of the above. So here the correct answer is all of the above. That means the Reserve Bank of India does not only act as banker to the government of India or to the banks, but also issues currency and regulates the circulation of currency in India, and therefore option D, all of the above, is the correct answer to this question. I hope the question is pretty much clear. Let us now move to the next one, which is very important, a current affairs sort of a question. The present governor of Reserve Bank of India is dash. Who's the present governor of Reserve Bank of India? And the underlying options are A, Raghuram Rajan, B, Shaktikanta Das, C, Urjit Patel, and D, none of the above. So here both these options, option A and C, talks about the former governor of Reserve Bank of India. The current or the present governor of Reserve Bank of India is none other than Shaktikanta Das, and therefore option B is the correct answer to this particular question, which talks about the current or present governor of Reserve Bank of India. I hope the question is clear. Let us now move to the next one. The banks in India are broadly classified as what? A broader classification of banks in India, and the underlying options are A, development and non-development banks, B, cooperative and non-cooperative banks, C, scheduled and non-scheduled banks, and D, none of the above. So here banks in India are broadly classified as option C, scheduled and non-scheduled banks. So therefore option C, scheduled, non-scheduled, is the correct answer to this particular question. Let us now move to the next one, which talks about what are the banks called who are included in the second schedule of the Reserve Bank of India Act. So here the question is, all the banks which are included in the second schedule of the Reserve Bank of India Act of 1934 are called as dash, whether they are called as A, scheduled banks, whether they are called as B, non-scheduled banks, whether they are called as C, cooperative banks, or D, none of the above. So here all those banks which are included in the second schedule of the Reserve Bank of India Act of 1934 are popularly called as scheduled banks, and therefore option A, scheduled bank, is the correct answer to this particular question. Very important question. The second schedule is where the banks are included, and the second schedule of the Reserve Bank of India Act of 1934, and hence the banks are called as scheduled banks. I hope the question is clear. Let us now move to the next one. The scheduled banks are subclassified into what? Scheduled banks are subclassified. So banks are classified into scheduled and non-scheduled, and scheduled banks are further subclassified. So they are subclassified as what? Whether they are subclassified as A, scheduled commercial, B, scheduled cooperatives, C, scheduled developed banks or development banks rather, and then last is scheduled non-cooperative banks. And we have to select the correct answer. These are the options which are available to us, and we have to select the correct answer. First, the first option which is available to us is A and B. That means scheduled banks are subclassified as scheduled commercial and scheduled cooperative. Then we have second option as B and C. That means the scheduled banks are subclassified as scheduled cooperative and scheduled development banks. Then we have option C, that means scheduled banks are subclassified as scheduled commercial, scheduled cooperative, and scheduled development banks. And last is all, that means scheduled banks are subclassified as scheduled commercial, scheduled cooperative, scheduled development, and scheduled non-cooperative. So here the correct answer is scheduled banks are subclassified into two important things, that is scheduled commercial and scheduled cooperative, which is denoted by option 1, which is A and B. So therefore scheduled banks are subclassified as scheduled cooperative and scheduled commercial banks. So I hope the question is pretty much clear. Let us now move to the next one. The banks where majority stake is held by the government is known as what? Whether it is known as A, private sector bank, whether it is known as B, public sector bank, whether it is known as C, foreign sector bank, or none of the above. So here, whenever the majority stake is held by the government of that particular country, you call such a bank to be a public sector bank or government bank. So here option B, public sector bank, is the correct answer to this particular question. I hope the question is clear. Let us now move to the next one. Dash banks are registered and have headquarters outside India. What kind of banks are those banks which are registered outside India and also have their headquarters outside India? So whether you call such banks to be private sector banks, whether you call such banks to be public sector banks, whether you call such banks to be foreign sector banks, or none of the above. So here, when we know that they are registered outside India and also their headquarters are outside India, such banks are usually called as foreign sector banks, and therefore option C, foreign sector banks, is the correct answer to this particular question. I hope the question is clear. Let us now move to the next one. Again, a recent sort of happening, or recent or current affairs related question. Dash foreign bank recently quit the Indian market. Which foreign bank quit the Indian market? Whether it is A, HSBC, that is Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corporation, DBS, whether it is Citibank, or none of the above. So here the correct answer is dash foreign bank recently quit Indian market. It is the Citibank which quit the Indian market. So Citibank is the foreign bank which quit Indian market recently. So I hope the question is clear. Let us now move to the last question in this segment. Which of the following is not a foreign bank in India? Not sort of a question. Which of the following is not a foreign bank in India? Whether it is A, HSBC, whether it is B, Standard Chartered, whether it is C, State Bank of India, or D, DBS. So here it's very clear that State Bank of India is not a foreign bank. State Bank of India has branches outside India per se, but it is a public sector bank in India, and therefore option C is the correct answer, which talks about which of the following is not a foreign bank in India. So State Bank of India is not a foreign bank in India, it is rather a public sector bank. So I hope the questions are pretty much clear. Please stay tuned for more. Thank you.